I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
Brings in up to $2 billion a year, around 10% of Adidas' total sales.
A Jewish doctor, they diagnosed me.
Why do you keep saying Jewish?
Because diagnosed
Why do you keep saying Jewish?
Because they were, right? Diagnosed me with bipolar disorder and shot me with medication and put me on medication, then put it in the press. And every time, even if I wore the wrong color hat that a is not supposed to wear, right? Then they immediately say he's off of his shit, he's off his meds, he's off his rocker.
The sportswear company was one of the few not to cut ties with Kanye West following a series of anti-Semitic remarks, among other things. This morning, the company finally decided enough was enough. NBC's Stephanie Goss cast the latest.
Breaking news this morning. Adidas confirming it is ending its lucrative partnership with Kanye West, now known as Ye. The company saying in a statement, Ye's recent comments and actions have been unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous, and they violate the company's values of diversity and inclusion, mutual respect, and fairness. The rap star made a series of anti-Semitic comments. The brand has been under fire for its association with West. West doubling down on his anti-Semitic messages overnight.
It's genocide and population control that Black people are in today in America that is promoted by the music and the media that Black people make, that Jewish record labels get paid off.
This past weekend, a group of neo-Nazi demonstrators hung a banner from an overpass in L.A. showing their support for West's comments. His ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, tweeting, "I stand together with the Jewish community and call on the terrible violence and hateful rhetoric towards them to come to an immediate end." The company has not released specific sales numbers from its Yeezy line, but industry analysts estimate it brings in up to $2 billion a year, around 10% of Adidas' total sales.
Why do you keep saying Jewish?
Amid all the controversy, the company released its latest Yeezy Boost sneaker over the weekend.
In these types of licensing deals, product could be in the pipeline over 18 months in advance.
Kanye's partnerships with legendary fashion house Balenciaga and The Gap both ending in recent weeks. On Monday, the talent agency CAA said it dropped West as a client, and a production company is shelving a new documentary about him. But the musician and designer refusing to back down, even taunting Adidas in a recent podcast.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
So, Matthew, let's start with you. The fallout began earlier this week. Ari Emanuel wrote an op-ed telling people they needed to distance themselves from Kanye West. Others followed, some a bit more slowly. Certainly, Adidas took their time. But right now, it appears that Kanye is getting it from all sides. This appears to be just almost a unified front against him.
Absolutely. It's going to be very difficult for him to tour. Live Nation has said they are not going to work with him. His agents at CAA said they will not, work with him on any tour upcoming. His music is still available on the major platforms. I mean, that's a whole separate issue. It's a very slippery slope when you go down that road. But most of the financial partners now have abandoned him.
Senator Weiner, we saw part of the problem with Kanye West's comments is amplifying them, which is that it gives license to others to sort of come out from the shadows, like the people who are hanging the signs in your state. What do you make of Adidas's move here, and how dangerous do you believe it is to have someone as prominent as Kanye West saying these things?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad that Adidas did this. I know it was a big step. They're going to take a big hit to their bottom line, but Adidas did the right thing. And what Kanye did, it's important to acknowledge how harmful and deeply dangerous it is. Yes, it's anti-Semitic, but it's not just anti-Semitic. He literally said he was going to start killing Jews. And now these people, hurl this banner over the freeway in LA saying that, quote, "I agree with Kanye on the Jews." And historically, we know that rhetoric, this hateful rhetoric against the Jews, conspiracy theories about Jews. He said that Jews control the media, control Hollywood, very anti-Semitic tropes. Historically, for centuries and centuries, those kinds of conspiracy theories about Jews, that we control the world, that we're ruining things for people, are followed by people killing us. And so Kanye needs to be ostracized. It's completely despicable and hateful what he's doing.
So, Rev, obviously Adidas took some extra time making this step because it is a massive business decision for them to cut ties with Kanye West. But as Joe pointed out, they're the last of many companies to walk away from him. This guy who has made a lot of people a lot of money over the years.
I mean, Kanye is a great artist, but it is now clear that it's intentional. When you just played a soundbite where he says, I say something anti-Semitic and they can't drop me. So we're not even arguing about whether it is intentional now. Some of us, 25 years ago, Mrs. King sat me down and said, whether you mean it or not, you're saying things that are harmful and that could be interpreted wrong. You need to clean it up. Joe Scarborough and I had honest talks about that. This is not saying I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the inference. This is somebody owning this. So if he's going to own that he's anti-Semitic, how can Adidas use him or anybody else to advertise what they're saying? He's saying that George Floyd didn't die of the knee, that it was drugs. So, I mean, how many times is he going to cross the line and now even having banners raised praising him as being anti-Semitic, and you're going to have him advertise your product? That is not, the bottom line decision shouldn't be that. Do you have a moral compass? Every company ought to ask.
Yeah, and Matt, it's interesting. There's an article in the New York Times this morning talking about how the Me Too movement is on, many people fear, is on its back heels right now. Certainly we have seen cancel culture sort of take more of a backseat over the past 6 months or so. People who've been canceled in the past now moving back into the mainstream. And also, I think Hollywood being a little less reluctant to cancel somebody's career overnight. That said, this really isn't a close call,
this
is
didn't
it?
happen overnight.
No.
This is not a close call. This guy has overstepped every boundary.
Thank you.
You don't put this into cancel culture, do you? This is just out and out anti-Semitism.
Absolutely. This is not a hard one, especially when someone like Ari Emanuel, who's a very prominent leader within the entertainment industry, comes out and writes an op-ed on the issue. This is not a tough one. Every company around Hollywood was evaluating over the past week or so if they had any business with Kanye. The only qualifier here is that the companies that have old works that don't currently work with him, but for instance, Netflix has a documentary on the service about Kanye that was produced in collaboration with him. They have not said they're taking that down. They're actually saying they're keeping that up because it's old. It's not something they're currently involved with. Same with the music companies. Apple and Spotify said they're not taking down the music. Universal Music Group, which was his old label, said that they are not going to pull the music. We'll see if that holds. But for anyone doing business with him, it's a very easy call.
State Senator, final word.
Violence against Jews in this country is not theoretical. We had, literally people in Pittsburgh and Southern California walking into synagogues, shooting people, including Holocaust survivors, while they were praying. So violence against Jews is real here in this country. It's real around the world. And when you run around saying, I want to start killing Jews, you inspire people. And so this is a strong move, and he needs to be completely ostracized.
Thank you all very much. We'll continue this conversation.